Hey, so what did you do on Monday night? Did you maybe catch up on some laundry? Maybe binge watch that new TV show? Andor's pretty good. Well, guess what? Brandon Nimmo just rewrote the record books. Nimmo absolutely obliterated the ball tonight, tied a franchise record, 9 RBIs, absolutely insane. A couple home runs, 3-run home run, grand slam. Propelled the Mets to a completely dominant 19-5 victory, their ninth win in the last 11 games. It's going to be an incredible. It was an incredible performance. We're going to have a lot of fun going over the Mets bounce back victory after a god awful terrible loss that I'm still feeling it. But we're going to talk about what an incredible game that was. Another great start from Griffin Canning, his incredible performance, but mostly Brandon Nimmo just delivering in an absolutely dominant fashion. Incredible, incredible, incredible. Let's talk about it. Roll the music. Welcome to Mike's Mets podcast. I'm your host, Mike Pashota. Wonderful Monday night to everybody, and geez, this was a complete blowout on par of really nothing we've seen thus far. It really helped wipe away that terrible taste out of my mouth of just a god awful performance on Sunday. Just to go over that very briefly, because I don't want to talk about it. I want to talk about Brandon Nimmo setting records. Let's talk about the Mets just completely blowing it. This was a masterclass in how to blow an easy win on Sunday night. They had what looked like a comfortable lead over the Washington Nationals, up 7-1, and the Nationals just slowly, bit by bit by bit, wormed their way out of it, and the Mets relievers were wholly incapable of holding that lead. They were just bit by bit allowing guys on, doing everything that you don't need to do, which was just walking guys, giving up base hits, and giving up home runs, and it was just everything that you. It was like watching a slow motion car crash, just everything happening all at once, and it's just like, oh my god, they're really gonna blow this game. And it was funny watching in Washington because I remember back in 2019, and this is gonna go back a while, but it's still something I remember was the Mets had a very comfortable lead. This was in September, I believe, and I'll have to check like the actual date of when it was, but I still remember this as the Mets were in a tough pennant race with Washington and not pennant race, division race, and Washington and New York were both vying for potential playoff spots. Washington was down by a lot. The Mets bullpen slowly coughed it up. The absolute money shot coming off of Edwin Diaz, who blew that save in that one. In this case, it was Ryan Stanek, who can never come back to Washington. I think we're all in agreement. Ryan Stanek should never come back to this place ever. It was a terrible performance, and it was so dispiriting because the Mets have gotten off to such a great start, largely on the back of great pitching, and it lost in all of this was an incredible performance from Tyler McGill, who looked terrific, and McGill continues his great start to the season. His April has been just spectacular, and has been I don't know if the best pitcher in that starting rotation, because you got to throw some credit to Kodai Senga, and also Canning and Peterson and Clay Holmes have all been very good. But it's the way that McGill's been so dominant, and the way that he's struck out 10, 9, he's really impeccable stuff. So that performance was kind of lost after the blown save, blown everything in that game, and it was a shame because I thought he was so good in that game, but because the Mets bullpen has been so fantastic this year, and the lowest ERA, the entire pitching staff's the lowest ERA. They've allowed the fewest runs allowed in majors this year, and it's tough to watch when you know, like, oh wow, this team's been pitching so well. To see them just give it up to such an inferior opponent, the Washington Nationals can't really, in my mind, hold the water of the New York Mets, and yet it was just a sequence of events that just ended up kind of going in against the Mets in their against the Mets' favor. So let's not dwell too much on that, and let's focus on the good times, which was a 19-5 beatdown of the Washington Nationals, courtesy mostly of Brandon Nimmo, but really everybody got in on this. We saw Juan Soto get a couple of base hits. Actually, the only one who didn't get in on it was Francisco Lindor, who I think was hitless in this game. Just to double check, yeah, that was the case. So Lindor was 0-for-3. He was the only guy not to get a base hit in the game, which is it's sucks for that. But you know what, Lindor has been the only one hitting for a lot of these days. Also, it's still crazy how hot Lindor got over the last week, that he's been able to raise his batting average up over 300, and that's from the ice cold start he got off to see him batting over 300. It's still wild. That is a just complete 180 on what you're doing for the first couple weeks of the season, and I'm glad he got through that cold period so quickly, and maybe this guy can actually make an all-star team for once. But anyway, Lindor was 0 for it, but Juan Soto got in on the action, 2-for-4 game. Good to see for Soto, like him getting multi-hit games, and this was a good series for him for the most part. Pete Alonso would go 2-for-5, was driving in runs, as he normally does, seemingly every game. Jesse Winker, 2-for-4 in the rare start for him. Winker would provide some RBIs as well, I believe. It was late in the game, in the ninth inning, but garbage time notwithstanding. Glad to see it. And then we get to Mr. Brandon Nimmo. Actually, we'll talk about Mark Vientos first for a second. Vientos popping also garbage time, 3-run home run that scored Alonso and Winker. Good to see for Vientos, who kind of needs these confidence building moments here. He has not gotten off to a great start, and he's been, for being probably the fourth or fifth most important guy in that lineup, they need him to kind of start getting into really more of the swing of things and starting to hit for more power. So I was glad to see him get the 3-run home run, and hopefully this leads into more games of him hitting for more power. But let's talk about Brandon Nimmo. Brandon Nimmo torched the ball. And at first it looked like this was going to be like kind of like a Jeff McNeil game, the McNeil got the RB, gets a sac fly, scores the second run of the game. Then McNeil homering, his first home run of the season. Great to see McNeil looking so comfortable at the plate. He's got off to a great start. This was a good series for him to come back in and reestablish himself as a part of this lineup. So glad to see it. Brandon Nimmo very quickly stole his thunder, though. This became the Brandon Nimmo show. Nimmo would connect for a 3-run home run, and from that point on, it was just, let's see how many hits this guy can get. Let's see how many runs this guy can drive in. So he would follow it up with a grand slam, and then it was an RB, two-run double. Yeah, I thought it was 3 runs for a second. It was a 2-run double that would give him his 8th and 9th RBIs on the game, and that was just a kind of rubbing it in at some point. I was just like, man, I can't believe they're still pitching to him. I mean, he was just unbelievable in this game. Like, and I remember watching. Not live, but I remember watching on TV the Carlos Delgado performance in 2008 against the New York Yankees, where Delgado hit that grand slam and a 3-run home run, and I think it was an RBI double, RBI single, something like that. But him like ripping all those RBIs in that game, I still remember that. That was it was just kind of awe inspiring, and Delgado and Nimmo kind of are in a similar position, both left-handed hitters. Obviously, Delgado more of a Hall of Fame caliber slugger than Nimmo was, but they're kind of in this similar position right now in terms of their careers, where Delgado was coming off a not so great season and needed to come back and reestablish himself as a part of that lineup. I think he was batting fifth. Fifth or maybe even sixth in that lineup because his 2007 had been so bad, and then Nimmo was pushed down. I mean, Nimmo was slumping for real for the last week or so. He hadn't really been hitting anything. His batting average was down in the low 200s. Was not coming through in RBI situations. Was really seemingly to hurt the team with his presence out there. And I was watching the game with my dad last night, last afternoon, and he made the point that he was like, I think they need to rest Nimmo for a game because he looked bad, and I firmly agree. Like, he was not good leading up to this game, but came back with one epic performance that will surely give Nimmo plenty of time to plenty of distraction from anybody who was saying like maybe this guy needs to be rested or maybe given a day off once in a while, because this was just a reestablish yourself as a formidable part of this lineup. And this was what on paper people were so excited about with this lineup, was the fact that they could just go through 1 through 9 with all of this power. I didn't even talk about Francisco Alvarez, who went 2 for 5. Luis Angel Acuna went 3 for 6 in this game. It was crazy. I mean, like they could not be stopped. 19 runs, 21 base hits. Not one by Francisco Lindor, but whatever. I mean, Jesus. I mean, like, that was just a real like announce yourself of authority type performance, and that was just, we're gonna wipe the bad taste out of everyone's mouth from that game that we totally blew. It was all on us. That was a complete team loss on Sunday, from the offense giving up easy situations to add on to the score. They were guys on base with less than 2 outs. They still couldn't get them in scoring position. It was tough to watch. It was a full team collapse. Even honestly, I would say the coaching staff probably collapsed also, because I didn't think Carlos Mendoza used the bullpen particularly well and left Tyler McGill out there maybe an inning too long, and it was a really, really bad game, and something that was really important for them to recover from. And I was glad to see it because I haven't talked about him yet, but also Griffin Canning, great game from him. Canning, 5 shutout innings, 4 hits allowed, 5 strikeouts, 3 walks. His command was, as usual, kind of hit or miss. It's just kind of what you're going to expect with Canning. Is that this guy's going to be maybe 5 or 6 innings a game, but is going to be wavering around 2 or 3 walks a game, and maybe even 4 if he really doesn't have his command going. And that's just what you're gonna have to weigh your pros and cons there. And Canning is not like a fully finished product. It is a testament to just what kind of work they did with him, because you have to look at his last 6 starts, and he now has a 2.61 ERA, 4-1. Is among the league leaders in ERA. We have to remember, considered like done. Nobody wanted a piece of Griffin Canning when he hit free agency. The Braves signed him and waived him, and the Mets were just waiting to grab him. And that was just what a savvy acquisition by Stearns, who saw Canning, saw the potential, saw what he could do if he was just thrown in the pitch lab, and what they could do to fix him, and they have fixed him. That is absolutely clear. That whatever he was doing wrong in last year, and his first 6 starts last season, he had a 7.5 ERA. I'm gonna repeat that: 7.5 ERA. That's wild. like the absolute complete transformation from Griffin Canning, seemingly out of baseball, to Griffin Canning, legitimate starting pitcher on this team, that they can't say they can't take him out now. They're going to run into a crazy position later this season when they have Sean Manaea coming back and Frankie Montas coming back, and they're gonna have to weigh who they want to get rid of in this rotation, and adapt to like a 6-man rotation possibly. That was, I guess, their plan was to run a 6-man rotation out, but they're gonna have 7 guys out there legitimately, and I don't know who they remove. Like, do you remove Clay Holmes? Do you remove David Peterson? Both of them have been great. Do you remove Tyler McGill? Tyler McGill was probably, and Griffin Canning were probably the 2 guys who had the least shot of making the team. They were probably going to be stuck in AAA or moved off, and they have to be, like, they would have to be locked in starting rotation stalwarts at this point. So I don't know what they're going to do, but it's a great problem to have. Like, if you have just excellent pitching, I'm sure some of these guys are going to fall backwards, and Canning's probably the most obvious candidate to have regression, but I haven't seen it yet. He has looked so firmly in control of what he wants to be doing, which is just fastballs far away from where anybody can try to hit them. The important thing, because his fastball still sucks, but the slider, all of his off-speed stuff, it really just works so well. And I really don't know what they're going to do, but again, fantastic problem to have, and a great move by Stearns to bring him in. After that, Kranick came in for 1 inning, and then the little seen, little used Jose Urena came in for some garbage time. He pitched 3 innings, got banged up pretty good, but we really didn't care about Jose Urena, so whatever. So he gave up 5 runs, but it didn't really matter because the Mets just took those runs right back in the 9th inning, courtesy of the Vientos 3-run homer, and Winker also grabbing an RBI also. So this was just a full tilt banger on the part of the Mets, and a great palate cleanser. Nimmo absolutely needed it. Really, they all needed it after just a tough game the day before, and you now see like what on paper makes them so dangerous. The fact that they were able to throw this lineup where they could just throw one bat after another, and arguably their best player, Lindor, was the only guy who went hitless, and they still scored 19 runs and had 21 base hits. I'm very interested to see what they do, and like again, they have McNeil, who's they've rolled back out there as an option for in this case left field. They were DHing Winker and Nimmo was in left field. They had McNeil starting in center, then moved to right and then second base. So they were moving Nimmo, they were moving McNeil all over the place. And so with Jose Siri out, it looks like their move is going to be using McNeil in center field, where McNeil's athletic enough that he can probably play a fairly decent center field if he really needs to be, but it's not great having him, Nimmo, and Soto out there. That's really not a great solution. But having Tyrone Taylor out there as a fourth outfielder who they can bring in late in games. Taylor, I absolutely trust as a terrific defensive player in center, even if not a great offensive player. That's a guy who can really help them in a number of ways in that field while they're still waiting for Siri to come back. And it's crazy. And I'm McNeil and Alvarez coming back and just immediately reestablishing themselves as important cogs in this lineup, and being just another guy who can just keep the ball going, keep it moving. It makes them look so scary, and they are now winners of 20 games this year. Scary 20-9. They got to this mark faster probably than I even thought, because they got the Diamondbacks coming up next, and this is going to be their toughest challenge yet, taking on the Diamondbacks, who are throwing 3 great pitchers: Rodriguez, Gallen, and Burns. And it's going to be a test, because this is a D-backs lineup that's just also at the same time cooking on all cylinders. They really look sharp. It's going to be a great series. I'm very excited to see how the Mets stack up. And again, they've won 20 games this year. If they are able to take at least one of these games against the Diamondbacks, I'll take it as a victory, because I want them to at least hold their own, and I want them to at least take one. So if they can take one, possibly 2, maybe even 3, I would be fantastically happy. But Taking at least one would be just a huge statement to the rest of Major League Baseball that the Mets are for real. This pitching staff is for real. This lineup is for real. The bullpen's for real. We had a tough loss on Sunday, but we bounced back in a huge way, re-announced ourselves as one of the top teams in baseball, one of the top teams to be feared in all of the National League, all of Major League Baseball. It's a hell of a time to be a Met fan. I'm loving it. Great win tonight. Let's go Mets. Thank you for listening to Mike's Mets podcast. If you haven't already, please follow us on Spotify and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Leave a like and a comment. It helps so much. Finally, please follow our Twitter and Blue Sky pages. You can find us at Twitter at Mike's Mets Pod, all one word, and on Blue Sky at Mike's Mets Podcast.bsky.social. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful day or evening, and let's go Mets.